So I'm going to read an excerpt from my novel. It's called 7 Days in Port-au-Prince. It takes place over the course of 7 days. The earthquake that struck Haiti was on January 12th. My mother's birthday is on January 19th. And my stepdad was in Port-au-Prince when it happened. So we basically are searching for a family member. There's a lot of family tension and old issues that come up against the backdrop of this tragic event. An event that killed 230,000 of my people, so there's a lot of tension in the house. So the scene I'm going to read, the main character, Militza, she's just gotten into a fight with her mom and has stormed off. Milo ran downstairs into her room. She trembled furiously. She dreaded this, the nonsensical argument where she was expected to defend 20 years of bullshit in one night. She could still hear her mother at the top of the stairs, who in true Haitian fashion continued cursing even after she'd left the room. She slammed the door, sat down and turned on the television, which was tuned to CNN. A roving reporter stumbled through the ruins of a neighborhood in Port-au-Prince. The cameras gave her a window into the horrors at Ground Zero. A string of 4 letters on the bottom of the screen indicated that this was a live feed. She held her breath as she realized that she was watching her countrymen's lives unravel in real time. Amid the fractured homes with gutted interiors, bystanders stood shell-shocked with bloodied foreheads and bruised arms wrapped around their wailing children. People off in the distance screamed over lost loved ones. Many were just in shock. This was what was left of Port-au-Prince, the city from which Marie had traveled all those years ago to deliver herself and her unborn children into a better life. A city that Milou had visited as a child. A city that she'd come to know through pictures of her mother as a teenager, or through tattered images of family vacations where she could live vicariously through distant relatives who sunned themselves on balmy beaches of Jacmel as they escaped the blazing heat that rose from the hidden spaces in between concrete buildings crushed against each other in the bustling capital. Haiti was an impoverished country, yes, but teeming with lush forests and beaches christened daily by the Caribbean Sea, which was a majestic shade of blue beyond anything that she could imagine. What she saw on the television tore all of those memories to pieces. Worse than the hands that tore her country apart, the hands of dictators, the hands of occupying foreign nations, the hands of totomacus that were forever stained with blood. None of the stories that had filtered back to her since her childhood were ever this bleak. Even with Haiti's tumultuous history, the stories that she'd heard were never this hopeless. Now I'm going to stop here because as I was working on this today, I considered taking that last sentence out, but the last time I went to Port-au-Prince, I was working with my family. We were working on a family project, and we talked to a lot of the neighborhood people there, and the one thing that people said again and again, which was really heartbreaking, was that life was worse now than under Duvalier, under Papa Doc, and I mean, that says something, because those regimes were the regimes that my parents fled, so the state of the quality of life in Haiti right now is horrendous. So I decided to include that sentence. None of the stories that had filtered back to her sense of childhood were ever this bleak. Even with Haiti's tumultuous history, the stories that she'd heard were never this helpless. The reporter guided his cameraman over to a mound of clothes piled up behind a church. As they approached the pile, he abruptly covered his nose and grimaced. Milou edged in closer to the screen. Her eyes were telling her something that she didn't want to believe. Among the tattered clothing, limbs poked out of sleeves, a foot extended upwards. She then realized that this pile of clothing was made up of bodies stacked waist high. She shuddered when the whites of someone's dead eyes returned her gaze. The 5-second delay kicked in, and the blanched, harried faces of 2 news anchors appeared on her screen. She tried to scream. She wanted to scream, but nothing came out. Instead, she fell back onto her bed and turned off the TV. She felt nauseous, voiceless. This was not the Port-au-Prince that she'd known, not the Port-au-Prince that her mother had known, and the realization that it was no longer and never would be the Port-au-Prince that anyone had known burned a hole through her. She wondered how anyone's God could be this cruel, to compound all that had already plagued her island with even more pain and suffering. Thank you.